Hi, my name is Julie Hutchison, and I'm with the Wilson County Disaster Animal Response Team, located in Lebanon, Tennessee, right outside of Nashville. Let me tell you a little bit about DART teams, in case you're wondering. We don't play DART. We are the Disaster Animal Response Team. Uh, we respond to animals in disaster situations. If something would come up where there is a disaster and we're needed in a certain county, that county would invite us to come in through the Emergency Management Agency dispatch. And we are officially dispatched to complete whatever the mission is at hand. Um, the Disaster Animal Response Team keeps animals safe in disaster situations such as flash flooding, hurricanes, wildfires, any type of disaster situations. As Wilson County Disaster Animal Response Team is credentialed by the state of Tennessee, and TEMA, Tennessee Emergency Management, has given us the title of Mission Ready for the state, which enables us as a volunteer organization to help disaster response in other counties. So, for example, in 2016, Wilson County Disaster Animal Response Team went to the wildfires in Gatlinburg, Tennessee. In 2017, the team was deployed to Rockport, Texas to respond to Hurricane Harvey and the floodwaters that had occurred there from extended rainfall. The team has also responded to local flooding, local tornadoes. Recently, March 3rd, Wilson County and actually the whole state of Tennessee was hit by a F4 going to F5 tornado, made landfall as an F2 and just picked up speed, and continued on a 60-mile path along Interstate 40, which ravaged not only Middle Tennessee, but East Tennessee as well. And then to be hit on top of that with COVID-19, we certainly have seen a lot of disasters here. Wilson County Disaster Animal Response Team has been doing community service in the community by providing dog food, cat food, horse feed to our neighbors. We are both in a rural and urban setting, so we've had a wide variety of assistance that we've been giving. We've helped with community cleanup since the tornadoes have hit, as well as taking care of cow pastures, helping pick up the debris so the cows aren't eating insulation. And also when they go to cut hay, they're not incorporating all that debris in with their hay bales and rolls. So Wilson County DART has done a lot of good for the community service. And actually, every county should have a DART team. And let me tell you just a little bit about DART teams and how we came about. The Disaster Animal Response Teams originated back in the 1990s, about when Hurricane Andrew hit Florida. And that was, I believe, an F5 tornado. Hurricane. That was an awful thing. And DART teams formed after that. Organized people doing rescue operations or response operations to help the animals. Well, when Hurricane Katrina hit back in 2005, that was an F5 that came up through the Gulf. And Hurricane Katrina showed no mercy with the rainfall and wind damage. And then when the levees let loose and flooded New Orleans, it was just terrible. And many volunteers descended upon New Orleans to help. You could see there was an immediate need. There were animals everywhere. People got the evacuation notice to evacuate for a few days, and it ended up to be a few weeks. There was really a lot of mishmash. There was no plan in place. other than get the people out. They cannot take their animals, and animals were left behind. And that was just an ugly situation. The volunteers for animals all descended on New Orleans because they saw there was a need to help. However, each organization that showed up had their own idea of the correct way to do disaster response. And that ended up in fighting and disarray. And now, with Hurricane Katrina, we have come a long way. In 2006, President Bush signed and ordered the Pets Act that says accommodations must be made for pets in your disaster plan. Every county needs to include companion animals in their disaster plan according to law. So people are allowed to evacuate with their animals no matter what, under any circumstance, and they should. So having a national disaster plan then prompted DART teams to follow the incident command system. So now everybody operates under the same rules and same organization, and everybody is on the same page as to what needs to be done. And if you would like to get involved, check with your emergency management agency in your county and see if they have a DART team in place. If not, see what you can do to start one in your county. And that also helps with federal funding, and animals do need to be included according to the Pets Act in order to receive federal funding. So now that you know a little bit about our disaster plan for pets and how the disaster animal response teams have come about, the best thing you can do is to start to train and get involved with your local DART team. Volunteer and see if it's a good fit for you. And all you need is a love for animals, and all the training should be provided for you. Now let's get down to giving some safety tips for you and your animals. Now, before a disaster strikes, you should think about what geographical area you're in and what could apply to you, and how you can add those type items in your disaster plan in case you need to evacuate. Now, before a disaster occurs, you should put a disaster plan in place for you and your family. Everybody should have a role, and you need to practice ahead of time. During a disaster is not a time to be evacuating for the first time or putting your pet into a pet carrier, which he's never seen before, because trust me, it's not going to go smoothly. I'd like to stress the importance of practicing, as something comes to mind I'd like to share with you. Now, I have practiced my disaster plan. At the time, I had 5 dogs. We had received a warning on our Midland weather radio to evacuate to our safe place as straight line winds and conditions were good for a tornado. So, winds were blowing, it's raining sideways. My 5 dogs, who normally follow me right to the dog kennel, where our safe place happens to be very close to, I rounded up my 5 dogs and planned to evacuate to our safe place as instructed. Well, guess what? I opened the door and the dogs ran out, and when they saw the winds, the rains, their fight or flight mechanism kicked in, and I had 5 dogs going in 5 different directions. So even though you practice, it's not always going to go like that, but it does make it a lot smoother if you can practice your disaster plan and have everybody have a role and be on the same page as to what's going on, because things get pretty intense as the rain is pounding, the wind is blowing. You've got an idea, your kids are questioning you. That's not the time. You need to function like a well-oiled machine when it's time to evacuate, and no beans about it. So, okay, you got your disaster plan in place. You know you and your family are going to practice. You're going to have some crates for your companion animals so that they can be contained and you can evacuate safely. Not knowing where you're going, circumstances may be up in the air. A crate is always recommended, that you have one for each companion animal. You should also have their rabies tags and collars with ID tags on them. You should ideally have every pet microchipped so that they can be easily reunited with you in case of separation. You should also have documentation like your vet records, rabies and vaccinations on hand to take with you, because in case you go to a shelter or a hotel or even a campground, they may require to see that your pets are up to date on their inoculations. And let's see, you should also have a list of pet-friendly hotels. Where are you going? What's your plan there? You know, are you going to go to a hotel? Are you going to go to a friend's house? All those arrangements should be made ahead of time. Okay, say a disaster hits and you're at work. You should have a neighbor, a friend, or somebody close by that can go in and check on your animals and put them in a safe location, whether it be in the center hallway of your house or down in the basement. Maybe you have a safe room. Have somebody on hand that you can call in case you're not there for your animals. You should also be prepared to shelter in place. If you have a shelter in place order given due to, say, like a chemical spill on your street where you can't leave, or if you have to shelter in place due to COVID-19 for a few weeks, you should have enough potable water on hand, enough food for your dogs, for your animals, and even for yourself. You also need to have a go kit, and we'll talk about go kits at the end a little bit, but you should have a kit in a bag already packed and ready to get in the car right now. You don't need to be scrambling around trying to put things in a bag at the time that you need to be evacuating. Sometimes you only have minutes, and even those minutes can be a luxury, you know, so you need to do what you have to do and not be worrying about putting together a go kit. Also, you should still have some pictures of you and your pets for identification. So in case you do get separated and somebody takes their collar off, you will have a picture to prove that that is your pet. I can't tell you how many times that's happened when good-meaning people remove a pet's collar for one reason or another. It makes it really hard to identify them in the end. But what comes to mind is working at Hurricane Katrina at the Lamar Dixon Expo Center. We had a semi-truck come to pick up all the Rottweilers to take them to a Rottweiler rescue, because the Lamar Dixon Expo Center was overflowing with animals. I believe there were 10 barns there, and all the barns were full and overflowing with animals. When the semi-truck came to pick up the Rottweilers, excuse me, I never saw so many Rottweilers in transport crates. There were so many Rottweilers. They all looked alike, and there is no way, if their collar was removed, that you could go through 200 Rottweiler dogs and figure out which one was yours in a stressful situation of, you know, post-hurricane, when everybody's frantic, everybody's hysterical, the dogs are picking up on that. You are probably going to have a difficult time unless your pet is microchipped. Okay, so let me get back on track. So we're putting together our disaster plan for the family. Pardon me. We rehearsed our plan, and now it's time for that tornado or that hurricane to hit. During the disaster, please do not leave your pet outside. Bring your pet in, put a thunder shirt on. Essential oils may help in calming, but please do not give your pet sedation. Sedating the pet will only disorient him further, and things are disorienting enough during a disaster situation than to have your poor pet snowed and him not knowing what the heck is going on. That is even more scary than to be alert and with it to respond properly. And please never ever leave them outdoors. Keep them inside, talk calmly to them, be reassuring, because they can pick up on your stress too. Go to your safe place, have something comfortable for them, have their bed there to secure them, put a thunder shirt on them. Don't freak out, because they will pick up on that. And pets can respond to your emotions very easily. Pets can sense when you're upset, and they'll play right off of it. You know, their fight or flight reflex kicks in. They can become aggressive when they're not normally aggressive. You can see a big personality change in them. So don't put your pet through anything unnecessary. And also, they can help keep you calm. So rely on each other to get through this storm together. Okay, so after the storm hits and it's gone, and it's time to come out in the aftermath, you need to go out, survey your property, see what's happening. Are power lines down? Did floodwaters affect your septic system? Are trees knocked over? Is there debris everywhere? How high is the floodwater? You know, you wouldn't want your dog drinking out of any puddles, so, you know, be aware where contamination is. Know where your chemicals are, if they could have leaked into some of the floodwaters that are standing. So when you emerge from your house with your pet, have them on a leash. Don't let them drink floodwater. Don't let your pets or your children play in floodwaters, because contaminants from the ground can come up. Nasty things like snakes and insects and contaminants from your septic tank can be floating around. That is just not an area to be playing or romping through. If you can stay in place till the floodwaters subside, do so. If you were told to evacuate, you always have to listen to an evacuation order. And if you don't and you stay behind, well, then you're part of the problem, not part of the solution, and you have to wait till you can be rescued. A lot of times during a disaster, you won't have cell phone service. Your cell phones will be gone. You should have a weather radio so you know what's going on, so you know that the storm is past. You're not going out like in the eye of a tornado thinking that things might have calmed down. So there's a few tips for you there. The one thing I wanted to go back and review is a go kit. What things should you put in your go kit? You should have things in there that will keep you comfortable during a disaster, knowing that you can't run back in the house. You should have, for yourself now, you should have a change of clothes, several pair of socks, a couple pair of underwear, warm things to layer on or take off. And for your pet, you could throw a little blanket in the go kit. You should have canned food, dry food. If you have a cat, you should have, in addition to the food, some type of makeshift litter box, litter, bedding, definitely a leash, collar, a kitty cab, or some type of transport crate for your animal. their medication, their vet records, just to name a few things offhand. And you need enough food for, I'd say, 3 to 5 days. You know, a couple days is recommended, but you know, what the heck? You don't know when you're coming home or what you're getting into, how far you're going away. So I would have those things in my go kit. In addition to, we found out it's handy dandy to have a can opener and also a wine cork remover, just in case. And you know, some food that you could snack on that doesn't break down, or something in a airtight baggie, so or have a few extra baggies so you can put things in, like if you open some dry food, or just things that you would want to keep dry and keep afloat, actually, if those things were threatening you. That's about all I have for you today. If you have any questions, you can get some good disaster preparedness tips on our website, which is www.wcdart.org. And you can follow us on Facebook, Wilson County Disaster Animal Response Team. We'll be glad to friend you and show you some of our disaster response tips from there. Well, thank you for allowing me to be part of this Streamathon, and please stay safe out there. Thank you. Bye-bye.